So welcome everyone to our 10th and last strategic planning session this year. This also is going to be our last meeting in the DAO for this year. We're getting back to our regular schedule, I believe, on the second week of January. So yeah, thank you all for being here. As I said just a minute ago, this meeting is going to be about the DAO-Foundation Synergy summary and the action points that we've been discussing. And we're going to use this meeting this session to introduce the Decentraland DAO strategic planning document that Lord has been working on. That it's basically a summary of all things that we've been discussing for these last 7-8 months, I believe. All the brainstormings, all the summaries, all the boards, everything should be there. We will visit it later to let you know the structure. But the idea is for you all to actively participate on it, share comments, add suggestions, and also invite you all to review again all the strategic planning documentation that we have in our Notion workspace to review this document and to add things that we might have missed or to add things that you think we should include in this document. So let's start first with the DAO-Foundation Synergy summary. Again, there's a document pasted in the chat. But what we done basically with this document was to put together everything that we discussed last meeting. And the idea of that meeting, as I already stated, was to take something valuable from it. And there were some interesting points that some community members brought. A lot of them brought by Lastrom, others brought by me, others brought by Nikki, and other community members. But the idea is to build on work with concrete stuff, and for that we need some action points. I'm going to share my screen for you all to know what I'm talking about. Let me know if you can see my screen, Lorlike, or not.
Yeah, we can see. I can see.
Excellent. So, well, here's the summary. Still open for everyone to add comments. I know that Mies has added some comments a couple of minutes ago, and he also added an action point here. So let's read out loud the action points first, and then I'll invite you all, as we always do, to join the stage, share some comments, and the idea is to revisit each one of these points and start working on concrete stuff. So the first one is specify clear and tangible expectations concerning the roadmap, including its format and the mechanisms through which the community can actively contribute to its development. So it's very clear. What we need to do here is to say, hey, or basically what we've been discussing last meeting, it's, hey, a manifesto is not a roadmap. What we need is a roadmap. Sorry, I'm going to read the comment. Yes, last time we're going to discuss each bullet point. Okay, yeah, we can do that. So the first one, again, was to specify clear and tangible expectations concerning the roadmap, including this format and mechanisms through which the community can actively contribute to its development. So again, this is about us as a community defining what do we expect from the roadmap that the foundation presents every year. It has been clear for everyone that a manifesto is not a roadmap, and if we want the foundation to present something different from that manifesto, or the manifesto and a specific roadmap, we need to discuss the limitations and the scope of that roadmap and the way we want it to be presented. So as Lastrom suggested, I'm going to open the mic right now, and if anyone wants to join the stage and share some thoughts, this is the moment. Lastrom, be my guest.
Hey, can you hear me, Fez?
Yep.
Hey, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it's just a suggestion. We don't have to go through bullet point by bullet point, but I figured it would be easier to get conversations around a very specific topic versus going through all of them and going back. So I appreciate you changing the structure. I just had one comment on this one. We as a community, we can't do anything to impact the roadmap. And so one thing that maybe that we could do is, in a larger scope, have some review for the GitHub pull requests, because right now, if the foundation created a roadmap like Roblox or something, that's awesome, that's great, but the DAO can't approve or disapprove anything on GitHub. So, I think for the long-term scope, the DAO needs to have some level, I don't know what, of interaction with the review process on GitHub and the approval process. Because those are the actual things that change. The roadmap is a document, but GitHub is the actual code base that gets updated based on that roadmap. So I think, again, bringing the DAO closer to that is one area for this.
Perfect. Just added that as a comment. I will put it together as one action point, or in the same point that just read, or another different one. But it's a really interesting point of view. Yeah, we'll add this to the document to present to the foundation to see what they have to say about this. Regarding the the roadmap per se, let's go start from zero. We have a manifesto that's going to be presented. Okay, I know you, Lestrom, and other community members shared some examples of how a roadmap should be put together in order to foster transparency with the community. I can't recall if it was Roblox or other roadmap that you presented, but it will be good if the community helps to the foundation and to build this document, setting clear expectations of what do we want as a roadmap to be presented to us. What way we would like to. Okay, that's the one. Yeah, it was from Roblox. Thanks.
That's great. I think my frustration with the other call fez is I think as a DAO, we don't know what we want. And it's okay if we all agree that a manifesto is sufficient enough. That's okay. If everybody in the community says, hey, Lastrom, you know what? We're all good with a manifesto, then that's what we agree on. I just don't think we all agree on what a roadmap should be. So I tried to provide an example of another platform and the word roadmap in terms of how they do things. And we don't have to do it that way, but it's just a good example of different perspectives and what do we want as a DAO in terms of things to look forward to, things to hold people accountable for, things to help work on, stuff like that. And if it is a manifesto, okay. If not, what should we do?
Yep, totally agree with that. I believe it's what you're pointing out, basically. And most of the community doesn't agree that the manifesto is a roadmap. So if you're going to ask the foundation for a roadmap, we need those examples. So thanks for bringing that. Again, you're all invited to bring other examples. I know that there were other ones. So let's keep populating this document with other examples of what do we expect. But yeah, I believe this is something that the community agrees on, that the manifesto isn't enough, at least the way it's presented. So yep, this is great that we're all aligned on that. What we need is more examples and to start defining concrete steps to asking the foundation for this. To know if anyone wants to jump into the conversations, just raise your hands and I'll invite you to the stage. If not, I'll continue. The other important thing about this point are the mechanisms through the community can actively contribute to its development. So, for example, here we have, like, for the long-term scope of this DAO-Foundation Synergy, the interaction with the GitHub review process, something that Lastrom just mentioned. Are there other mechanisms that come to your mind right now to participate on the building, on the creation of the roadmap, or to participate or to contribute on its development, or to contribute after the roadmap is presented? Does anything come to your mind? I am talking to everyone, right?
I'm not sure if anybody else will come up, but I did have one thing I wanted to touch on, Fez, is Esteban reached out to me. Anybody listening, Esteban is a co-founder of Decentraland. And he reached out to me after that last call. And we both agreed that that proposal delegating the work to the foundation was meaningless. Even Esteban said that. And I bring it up because there's a larger point of definition that needs to happen. What does the foundation do? What does the DAO do? And once we have those clearly defined definitions and parameters, then we can start attacking these bullet points. Because personally, if the foundation said, hey, Lastrom, you know what? The platform is like not great right now. We can't have the DAO. We think it's in the best interest for the platform if the foundation worked on all of the development. There were no GitHub reviews from the DAO. You know, we as a foundation need like 2 more years, right? And the DAO can, handle the smart contracts, and the DAO can handle the grants and stuff. But we, the foundation, really need to take control of everything, right? I would actually be okay with that, because that is a clearly defined scope of work, right? So I think we almost need to step back and ask, like, hey, foundation, what do we get to work on? Because once we understand that, then we can sort of like figure out what we can work on and how to work on it, right?
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree.
There
should be no problem. I agree that there should be some kind of statement about this, because it's clear that that proposal, it's more a formality than something that has effects on anything on the roadmap. That has been clear last meeting. So I won't wait for the foundation to make a statement or whatever. I believe we can ask for that, and I believe at the same time we could start requesting access to other stuff. Again, to say, hey, okay, the things that we discussed last time were this. Okay, regarding the roadmap, it's clear that the manifesto isn't the roadmap. So here we have what do we want, how the roadmap should be. Now, we could start identifying those mechanisms. At least I first try to start identifying those mechanisms that we would like to start conducting together with the foundation for participating in the roadmap. Maybe the answer is no, we're going to take the whole thing, and for 2 more years, there's not going to be any participation for the DAO. But if we start identifying those points, might help, because maybe they're not going to accept all the points that we list here, but maybe they accept to give us some participation in other things. So that's why I agree with you that there should be a statement from the foundation in the short or the midterm, but at the same time, I do believe that we could start defining some concrete stuff that we would like to do together with the foundation in terms of participation, in terms of the roadmap, and then wait for the answer. But yes, that statement should happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's one example, and it involves Madamus. He's a developer in the space, well known, and he got a grant to build a backpack, and then the foundation went and did their own backpack, right? And I don't think, from my conversations, I don't think they included Madamus in any of that scope of work, right? And so that was sort of like doing dual work, essentially. And we as a DAO paid Madamus to do that. I'm not saying that we were wrong in paying Madamus. I think that's awesome. The problem is the foundation was already working on that. So that's a clear example of not knowing what the foundation is doing. We as a DAO and developer community working on the same thing and paying for it, and then not even being included in that scope from the foundation. Just as an example of sort of what we're talking about in terms of,
it's a great example, because that could mean two different things. The first we need visibility on what the foundation is developing, because, well, the example explains itself, right? We don't want to duplicate efforts. That's another thing that's like the core of these meetings, of this DAO-Foundation Synergy thing. It's not about duplicating efforts. It's not about, as I see it personally, not about competing with the foundation, but to work together, to look towards the same objective, to look towards the same goals. So here, as I see it, there are two things that we could do here. First, if there are community members that propose something or are working on something and the foundation is also working on something similar, would be good to have, like, I know, task forces or something to include the community member that's proposing that to work together with the foundation, or both ways, right? If a community member is working on something that's in the roadmap of the foundation, or it's within the shape-up cycle, the current shape-up cycle, could be good to align that. So yeah, it was a good example of like the problem here, right? We don't want to duplicate efforts. Communication to avoid duplicating efforts. That's a good one.
Yeah, like personally, I don't want to work on the locomotion and, you know, having different running speeds or different jump heights. You know, that I would hope the foundation could work on that. That's great. But other things maybe we could work on. So
So anything else we should add to this specific bullet point? Where I'm reading the comments. In just a word, that's something that's one of the bullet points, I believe. Yeah, the third one. We're going to visit that after the second bullet point. But yeah, one of the things that we mentioned, yeah, I'm inviting you to speak, sorry. One of the things that we mentioned during the meeting was the possibility of having a liaison from the DAO with the foundation, or hired by the foundation or hired by the DAO, or both of them, like a joint effort, to know what we want to do is to discuss about that. So yeah, we want to discuss about that or about the first point in the list. You're in the stage. You can speak now.
I have a question, something I've wondered about from almost the very beginning. Is there any plans that anybody knows of for the foundation to open up what exactly, I mean, so that somebody can take over for what the foundation does? Do we know, like if they left tomorrow, does anybody have access to anything like that they have? Or would they, even if they did?
I don't think so.
I think this is Fez where I said no in the chat, but existence, if they left tomorrow, there's no one outside of the foundation with approval rights on any of the GitHubs, to my knowledge. And I think that's of concern.
Well, there should be then a handover strategy. We could add that too. Handover strategy. That's something really interesting too, because I mean the foundation has like money to keep running for, I believe Jamil said, like 10 years. But if that doesn't happen, there should be a handover. And the only way, and the only entity or organization that could take that should be the DAO. So it's really important to have a handover strategy from both sides, right? How should we take care of that, and how the foundation should take care of that? So that's a really interesting thing, Existence. Thanks a lot for bringing that.
They could totally rug us. I mean, again, they have their investing contract, and they're the only ones that control all of the approvals of GitHub. So it's a little scary.
Okay, so moving to the next point. Define concrete expectations regarding regular technical meetings, attendance, cadence, structure, dynamic content. So an example that some people has put the other day and a lot of time before is that we were having AMA sessions. Those AMA sessions weren't having engagement at all. Actually, the last 3 that I attended, we were like 2 people from the DAO and 10 from the foundation. So we need to figure out a better way. It's clear, I mean, the AMAs clearly were not fulfilling expectations for neither the DAO or the foundation. So if we want other instances for discussing technical issues with the foundation, besides the space that we have every 8 weeks with the all hands meeting, we need to define and to specify what do we expect of that meetings. Who should be the attendance from the DAO? Who should be the attendance from the foundation? The cadence of that meetings, should they be once a month? Should they be twice a month? The structure of that meetings, I will say like the less important thing, but should be like the foundation presenting something and us like sharing our thoughts and opinions on that, to try to change that or to approve that, at least on an informal way. The same with the dynamic. And well, the content, right? Because again, we had the AMA sessions that were structured to have like different meetings, one for the Explorer, another one for the dApps, another one for the SDK. But how would we like them to be organized if they happen in the future? Any ideas, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think there's just the communication in terms of, I personally would like to know what everybody else is working on, even just like a high level, because, I don't know as a developer what Vegas City is working on, or DAppCraft, or Polygonal Mind, or Low Poly Models World, or anybody in the space outside of, the SDK support channel, if you watch that and somebody asks a question. So I brought this point up a week ago, where it would just be nice for the developers, including the foundation, to get together and just kind of bounce ideas off. And we could say, hey, foundation, this is actually working out really, really well for us. We loved what you did with this, right? Like, thank you. And then somebody might say, oh, wow, I didn't even know that. Cool. How'd you do that? Vegas City, and they say, oh, well, we did it like this. Or Vegas might have a problem. They say, Last Slice, we saw you accomplish this. How'd you do that? Or we say, foundation, you know what? Like this avatar shape thing is still broken, and we just don't know how to get over it. Can you dedicate some time, where the foundation says, hey, devs, we're about to push an update that fixes ambient occlusion or bloom. Can you guys kind of keep an eye for us and see what happens? I think just a little bit closer communication to a smaller community. Again, it's more proactive instead of reactive, right? The SDK support channel in the DCL Discord is reactionary, right? Something bad has to happen for somebody to send a message to the foundation for them to then respond, right? There isn't a proactive meetup, even once a month, that's just get some of the top minds in the space, and anybody maybe could join, but more developer focused of like, hey, what are you working on? Hey, what are you working on? Hey, I got this. Oh, that's a problem. Oh, wow. Three developers said that's a problem too. Shoot. Okay. We should probably work on that. Right.
Okay, got it. So let's say once a month, and we were talking about the small group of people that should attend to this meeting, both from community and the foundation. So what are you thinking on when you say like a small group, like the grantees? Are you talking about the studios? Are you talking about the studios and the grantees?
I think the studios, grantees typically, and no offense to them, are sort of individuals, and some do groups. There are some groups that get grants, myself and Last Lights included, but I would say focusing more on the studios and then invite more technical sessions where you can talk about things. I think, again, AMAs are all reactionary. It's like, this is what's happened, ask us questions, versus, hey, let's just dedicate an hour and talk shop. Right? I think that's what needs to happen. There needs to be like a talk shop amongst the developers.
Okay, great. So this should be, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. All I was going to say is I brought this up to the foundation because the foundation operates in Slack internally, and each person or studio can have their own Slack account, but that doesn't mean that I give visibility into anybody else's, right? So Vegas City might be working on something cool that I might want to work on, but you know what? They're already doing it. So there's no cross communication. So I don't know where that source of central communication lives. If it's a dedicated monthly meeting, if it's a dedicated Slack channel that all of the developer groups are invited to, I just think there needs to be a single point of like talking shop.
Okay, great. So this should be something, again, less reactive, more proactive in terms of comms, where the foundation should, at least is what we expect right now, right? What we are talking about. Foundations should like disclose or share what are they going or what they are planning to implement or to release. And that's where the discussion should happen, right? Not like having like instances before the all hands where all announcements are made with shape up cycles and so on. What we want here, what we are talking about is about having instances to know what they haven't implemented yet, for them to have our opinion, or to start like coordinating in a better way our efforts and their efforts, right? That's like the summary of what you just said, right?
Yeah, I think more proactive communication, and there doesn't really have to be a point to it, right? It's just kind of get together and say, oh yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Oh, that works well, that doesn't work well, or we got this big event coming up, and you're like, oh, cool, and then maybe you go back and you do your own Twitter thing, and that other groups are working on things. I just think more visibility into what is going on in the space, because a lot of it is siloed off. Like people are one thing, the users, but the developers are another. And it's crucial, I think, at a minimum, that the developers understand what's going on in the space.
Okay, perfect. So Alpha Angels, you wanted to share something? And then Miss.
Hey, how are you guys? Can you guys hear me? I'm kind of driving, so I don't know. I'm sorry. All right, cool. I really wanted to just say thanks for hosting this, guys. I'm glad that I could listen in. I really agree with Lastrom saying. We don't need the formal. That's really what I want to just get right off the bat. Like, I know keeping it formal allows things to be organized, but Lastrom saying like let's talk shop more than once a month. I think if you guys can have like, even when Lastrom was on Foundation, he was like, him and PB were one of the only Foundation members that were showing up to like the CBD spaces in the beginning. And then when Lastrom had his AMAs, a lot more Foundation members were showing up there, and you can see more questions were being answered But CBD spaces, they've grown organically over time, and they're really huge now. They're weekly. They've changed to Saturdays. Maybe we can get a couple foundation members. It doesn't have to be every single foundation member every single time, but anyone that can from foundation that can come in weekly and just give a couple updates. They don't have to go too deep, but just give a couple updates of what they're working on. Tap in with the community. And the community members will show up. You don't have to worry about the DAO side. But if you guys can just get a couple members to show up to CBD spaces, I feel like that could help a lot. That's really all I had to say.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, I partially agree with what you're saying, because as I mentioned, we already had that AMA meetings and they were not having engagement. So it's not like that easily to find like organic growth with those sessions, with technical sessions. I feel like the audience for that sessions or the participants for that sessions are a smaller part of the community, as Lastrom is pointing out. But yeah, we could find like a middle point there, a middle ground, to try to be more transparent. I mean, the foundation being more transparent with this, but at the same time giving the chance to studios or creators or grantees or whoever we decide as a DAO to participate on that, to have a say on that. But yeah, I partially agree with you that this should be something like natural, let's say, but it's not that easy. We already had the experiment, let's say, with the AMA sessions, and they didn't work that well.
I just have two things to say on that. That's what I'm kind of saying though. Like, you guys don't have to do much of the foot. You've done your AMAs, and you feel like the reach just wasn't there. You're saying, or maybe there wasn't consistent participation from audience. But CBD is like, what I'm trying to say is you guys can just kind of co-host, tap into an audience that's already growing and already there. Community members are already there. We talk about the problems weekly. And then you guys can have a space where, like what you're saying, with grantees only, and you guys can talk about certain grants there. We mentioned it on CBD Spaces as well. I'm not a co-host or anything. I'm really just an audience member. And I know Canessa and Sinful are too humble for themselves to like say it, but they've said it in their spaces. And they love when PB hops in and gives that's so much value already there. I feel like you guys should value just hopping into something that's already growing. You don't have to do the footwork on if they're gonna show up or not. Everyone's showing up to CBD spaces. Not everyone, but the community members are showing up, and you guys should just go in there and just answer some questions that we're all throwing out. All the problems that you're just letting fester. You guys should just go in there, answer them, and kind of relieve the community a little bit. Kind of just let them know what we're going on and what we would need help on. And if you guys could help the people who are listening, maybe you guys could reach out to us and we can really organize something. I do agree with you on let's keep it formal. Let's make sure things are organized. We actually get things done after saying them and actually laying these ideas out. But let's actually make sure we're all reaching out too. I feel like the foundation just they're not tapping in. They have their agenda, and when they hear an idea that really sparks them, they tap in with the community and then they roll with it. But besides that, they have their agenda that they're going to fulfill because, like Yamel said in the last meeting, they have their agenda and they believe what's best, so that's what they're going to do.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. I understood better now. Well, in terms of audience, clearly the CBD has a huge audience here. Clearly they have more reach, both with creators, grantees, and all this community. But we could use that audience. I'm not saying that. We definitely need that audience. But about the CBD dynamic and the structure, those meetings, I've been in a couple of them. And I heard some of them, and sometimes they last for 3 hours. And what we want here is to be effective and efficient. So we could try to figure out a way to get that audience, to get that engagement, to invite those community members, to get them to participate. But at the same time, we need to find another dynamic. Maybe again, the solution could be the CBD. like leading this or co-hosting this. That's a good point. That's a good idea. But yeah. So before giving it to Canessa, passing it to Canessa, Miss, you want to share something?
I do, but I'd like to hear Canessa first. Mine's
Yeah,
a little,
perfect.
it's a little off.
Yes, perfect. I was going to ask you that. Canessa, please be my guest.
Thank you. I rarely come up and speak, so I wasn't sure if I needed to raise my hand. So I was like, I don't know, trying to figure this out and trying to throw out parts. It's a little bit different than Twitter, but I thank you, Alpha. Thank you, Fez, for giving me the space to come up and speak. I agree. I think the power behind CBD is it's the first letter of that is community. And honestly, all we do is just start a space, and then that's where the community comes, and that's everybody who wants to come and talk. And yeah, 3 hours, that's easy. Sometimes we talk for 5 hours. So I definitely see the challenge of having really good, effective conversation, without lasting 5 hours. But a lot of times, like, oddly enough, that is when the really, really good ideas start ruminating. And I think that there's value in hearing from members of the community there and hearing their concerns. Maybe that is a safer place for people to come up and speak about things that, like, even right now, I'm like, I'm kind of nervous to come up and speak here. And I've been doing Twitter Spaces a while. So I'm guessing that a lot of people from the community don't want to come up to the AMAs. They don't want to, speak at the Google Meets and anything that is put on. So I would say that less formal environment gives more people a chance to talk. So I can understand how the foundation would not want to come in. I think it might feel like going to a village with pitchforks. I can see how you might, somebody might be afraid that they're going to get crucified. At the same time, that is the people, and whether the foundation is, at the CBD space or not, like, the people are they're going to talk. They're going to talk about these challenges that come up. So I don't know if it's a mix of the two, but I think that the common thread that we keep hearing is that there's questions come up and we don't have answers, like whether it's, the people that are the common speakers in the call, or then, like, if we try to get in touch with people through the Discord, there's just, like, we all know it. There's been layoffs. There's just a really disconnect between getting answers for our questions. And I think that the CBD Discord has taken a lot of that, like, brunt of that on, because there's people asking all sorts of different questions. And so I think we have a community full of really well-intentioned people doing the best they can. But I think we're hitting some glass ceilings with how far we can take it ourselves. Like, how far can I take it? Like, I'm not a dev. How far can, people take it when they don't understand, like, the absolute inner workings of the DAO and how that works with foundation. So I think it's just a natural, like, this is our growth. Like, we were going to get here one way or another. If the foundation truly is going to pass over the keys to the community, like, it's just a matter of time before we're here. And maybe we just got here. This is when, this is where we're at. So I think that the voices in CBD are really just the people of the community that maybe don't have, maybe they're voicing it here and other places, but not being heard. I don't know, but I do appreciate the consideration. And I think that the voices of the community aren't going to go anywhere. Like, those spaces are going to happen, whether the foundation is involved with it or not. It would be nice, like, the few times that foundation members have come in, it's felt so good. Like, they care about what the community is saying. And I guess if we felt more with certainty that the foundation's hearing us, then maybe our hackles wouldn't be up so much. Maybe if we thought, okay, they're listening to us, they're working on it, there's a process. I think that would just kind of stymie a lot of the unknowns, because humans don't like uncertainty. So when we have uncertainty, then we start talking. And I want to make sure that CBD also isn't just the place where you go to complain about what's not working well with Decentraland, because there's so much more to talk about. But yeah, I mean, if there's anything we can do to help, we are just the people that start this Twitter space, but the CBD belongs to the community, the people. So thank you.
No, thanks to you, Vanessa. Really, really valuable. Really appreciate it. So yeah, we have that space. We could like start looking how to take advantage of it as a community to amplify. Agree. But yeah, again, let's try to find a middle ground to try to figure out a format that works both for the foundation and for the DAO and for the DAO community members that do not have a voice usually in these discussions. But yeah, thanks for bringing that, Ganesa. Thanks a lot. So, Miss, you want to jump in?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Fez. So I wanted to speak a little bit as well on the enhancing community engagement part. And so some of it has to do with, I would say, marketing. And some of the notes that I had written down there on the DAO-Foundation Synergy. And so during our conversation with the DAO, I had asked or brought up, like for instance, we with Angzar, we've been around for over a year now, and I spend a decent amount of time on our Twitter, and I look at like who retweets us or likes or whatever, and I noticed that we, even if we tagged Decentraland official other things, we really wouldn't get any engagement almost ever from them. I think it was maybe a handful of times, which is kind of unfortunate. And so my understanding was that from the last meeting, that it may be it's currently a bandwidth issue, which is completely understandable. That's what they had said from the marketing team. And we're in a bear market. We're maybe 2 years in. Marketing is one of the first things that gets cut, and so I completely understand that. And so I think that what we can do to help become more efficient and have better visibility for not only our projects and major things going on, whether it's developments for these projects or from creators. I think that maybe having a specific channel maybe added, if we requested, and asked politely for the DAO Foundation to maybe have a special channel out there. So like, for example, a group of us, Vroomway and Knights of Antrom, Spottyland, DG and Angzar, we all got together and we're doing a Christmas event. And so, we really didn't have a way to get the attention of the marketing team other than that last meeting, to, really try to share that with the community and all these efforts that, we were putting together for this large scale event. And I think that it'd be great if for like major updates for certain scenes or this is really just major stuff, major updates to scenes and holiday events like Christmas, Halloween, that kind of stuff. And then whatever Decentraland, the foundation is putting on for their large scale, either monthly or bi-monthly events, kind of like the community health one they're doing and like Metaverse Music Week, that kind of stuff. So I think that, having a channel to where the projects could share some of what they're going on or what they're doing, just the major stuff in a channel somewhere, so that it would put it all in one place for the marketing team, and the marketing team could just go, hey, look, all I have to do is go to this channel and like pick whatever I want, to share out of this stuff. And obviously it wouldn't guarantee, a share, but at least they would know what's going on, and other people might too. Like if I hopped in there, I could see, what the other major projects were up to and what they were doing for these events. And, we could maybe build on our own collaboration from there if I decided to reach out to one of them and if I felt passionate enough. So I think that could help with their bandwidth issues since they are, probably limited. I understand that going to Twitter and just like, either looking at all the tags they probably get, which is tons of spam and other stuff, or trying to go to every individual page for every single project is a pain in the butt. And then not even understanding, what is it that project feels is important, because the project creators, they know what's the most important to them. And so I think that giving us the ability to share what we already know and what we believe is the most important thing, for our project for that month or that quarter or whatever it is it may be, to help get some more visibility and get, help, because Decentraland's got like 600,000 followers on Twitter, and they also have, other platforms as well. But, I just feel like they're not really using that effectively, and that we could be driving more new eyes into Decentraland and getting their attention on projects they don't know, and scenes and games that they don't know exist yet in Decentraland. And I think that, that will help create new users, and then maybe user retention as well through the projects, with this communication and everything else. So I think that's something that is maybe underlooked, undervalued, that maybe something is an easy fix if we're able to maybe get like a dedicated channel in their Discord for that.
Thanks a lot, Miss. And well, you were basically talking about the last point that we added, but that you added. So for all you to be aware, this dedicated marketing channel or this way for the foundation to share some content and important social media posts, events, or something, it's something that we might desire as a DAO, we might desire as grantees, as content creators. So we're definitely going to ask for that. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And I just wanted to, reiterate that I do think it is important. Number one, for the marketing, just to make it easier for the marketing arm, and then this would be separate, obviously, from all the coding stuff, which we were really focusing more on the coding conversation. So I just wanted to make it clear that I think both are very important, and it just helps for separation, possibly.
Yeah, noted. Agreed, 100%. But I'm going to state it here from technical meetings and comms. Great. So let's go to the third bullet point, and it's the discuss the possibility of hiring a technical liaison and or to find the criteria for electing community members that could fulfill that role. So this is something that has been discussed a couple of times. I know that there were some intentions of doing this like a year ago, both from Foundation and some DAO community members, but it's something that's coming up now again. And I believe it's a good opportunity to, first of all, if we want this to happen, second, to define how we should do this, if it should be like someone hired from outside the community, if it should be someone hired from the community, if it should be someone hired, if it should be some kind of elected community member or whatever, with or without a compensation. But yeah, this is a really interesting bullet point that I brought here, that you brought here last time, and that has been it's something that has been discussed before with the foundation included. So if you had any comments, any thoughts on this, please raise your hands, or the people that's already in the stage here, share some comments or the thoughts on this.
I just had a quick comment. The foundation, they do have bandwidth issues, and for whatever lack of transparency that we have, they're pretty tied up doing work. And so when I put this bullet point together, it was more of setting the foundation, lack of a better word, for us as a DAO to be more technical and be less community and more technical. And that's not to disregard the community aspect, but it's to get serious about having technical conversations or technical expertise that can help guide the community going forward in our wants, desires, needs. And if those are even possible, right? I think one community member mentioned VRM, right? And so having that conversation with the liaison and knowing if it's at least all possible, and the liaison can go to the foundation and say, guys, the community is starting to drum up some questions or, ideas maybe about possible VRM imports, not exports, but imports. What do you guys think about that, foundation? And whoever at the foundation that is, or anybody they have contact with, can say, you know what, liaison, that just technically can't happen right now, right? It's a great idea. Maybe we can put it on the roadmap as a desirable or, far-reaching goal, right? So I think having, again, that synergy and communication with somebody that understands the platform, but also understands the community is going to be essential, especially when we take over. So why not install now somebody that has that? But it sort of gets back to that question of what is the role of the DAO? What is the role of the foundation currently? Because we all know the end result, but what are we doing in between? And maybe we don't need this liaison person if the foundation says, you know what, for the next 2 years, we are just heads down centralized, building this product for the community, because that is what we think is the best route forward, and we can all agree on that, and then we don't need that role. So I think that's a little in flux, but that's where I was going with it.
Thanks, Lastrom. Anyone else wants to share thoughts on this? I believe, again, in the midterm, long term, or whatever, this could be a really interesting thing to implement. As I imagine it, this was a position like hired by the foundation and the DAO together, or by the DAO as a squad or as a unit or whatever, with access to the Slack of the foundation or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's how I imagine it, but there could be other possibilities. Yeah, exactly, Lastrom. I mean, if we want to hire someone, it could be a joint effort, like us presenting a grant and the foundation matching that grant. Shouldn't be like that expensive, and we could like make the foundation be part of the selection process, and we both could do that. So yeah, that's how I imagine that. I think it's feasible. I believe it's not complicated in terms of budget, so we could explore this. Any other comments? Any other thoughts on this? Or should we jump into other points? Or whatever you want to say, right? Because we're not talking about the possibility of hiring a technical liaison. We already discussed about the possibility of handover strategy. The RFI process is not like a huge thing to discuss. I mean, the only thing that we could discuss if the times are like okay, or if we can shorten them. That's something that I can totally discuss with Jemel. He already stated that during the meeting. So if you all agree, we can review that process and like try to shorten the times for response. But yeah, those were basically the action points that we took from the last meeting. Again, don't know if anyone wants to jump in and share some thoughts, comments, add another action point that you would like to see implemented, or at least us trying the foundation to implement. But if not, we can quickly jump into the introduction. Oh, sorry, there are people that wants to talk and I didn't notice. Aaron and One Existence again. Sorry guys, I was just speaking and didn't realize.
I think Aaron's got something to contribute. My hand was just frozen from being up for so long. If I remember what I wanted, I'll mention. But Aaron Loop's looking to ask us something.
Yep, already invited him to join the stage. So, there it is.
Thanks so much. I just kind of wanted to piggyback off a little bit of what Lastrom and Mace was saying. I think technical, it would be nice to have a little bit more of a communication, I'm not even communication, I guess a process. The last two proposals I did were both kind of technical. One was to add something to the marketplace in terms of a feature, and also one was 2 slots for the character. And it's a pretty weird, obviously I'm used to it, but it's a pretty wild process of going through the DAO and getting rounds of votes for 3 rounds of votes for something, and to see if the community wants before it gets to the people. And I'm used to it, but I know that newer people probably would be like, well, that's a lot of work, and it's like months at a time. If maybe we could have a streamlined process where somebody could pitch something and then the community can vote on it. And if it shows that a lot of people are interested in this feature or this technical thing, then it could be kind of a little bit more faster, streamlined. Maybe or what Lastrom was saying, maybe to a liaison or the foundation. That might be kind of cool. And also to piggyback on what Maze was saying, The ApeCoin DAO, I've learned because I got a proposal passed there, is that they have it where there's a secret form that if you had a proposal passed, you can submit if you want them to tweet or retweet something about your they call them AIPs, your proposal. And I think that would be pretty cool if Decentraland had something like that. Like maybe it doesn't have to be so exclusive, like, only to people that have things passed in the DAO. But maybe it could still go through some type of filter. So there's not just people pitching crazy stuff where, maybe the community in the Discord thread just votes on something. And if it gets a lot of likes from community members, and then, like, let's say people have some Christmas events, people say, hey, can we get this tweeted or retweeted? And then the community, all upvotes it. And then, at the end of the week, they do something. So maybe those two processes might help with the communication. And even when I noticed when Decentraland back in the day used to retweet or my stuff, it would not only help with getting their followers, but it would boost my, engage in my followers too. So just those two, I think what they're saying or advocating for, I think is good. And maybe hopefully those ideas that I have could be some good processes to help.
Great. Thanks for bringing that. There are a couple of things. The first one is I'm working with your proposals. I'm like being the quotation marks liaison now with the foundation to help to implement those proposals. So I'll keep you posted about it. Actually, I need to meet with you next week for some technical issues, some technical stuff to clarify. So let's talk after this meeting about it. Regarding like the voting things, the voting features and everything, Lastrom and a lot of people is going to hate me about this, but now the most efficient way for doing that is Canny, like not going through the 3-stage proposal process, because features are not requested that way. And I want to state this again, and I will state this as many times as needed. Governance proposals are not feature requests. So they can help to create awareness about the feature request, but they're not binding to the foundation. So that's a problem, but it's how things are right now. And the best way for requesting features right now is Canny. So if you want to create awareness among the community, yes, create a proposal, go through the 3-stage process. But at the end of the day, like for going straight forward, the best way for requesting features is Canny, and there you can vote it, and the community can vote it, and everything. So yes, we could try to find other ways to do this, but for now, I believe this covers pretty much the need that you were mentioning. And regarding the liaison, yes, if we hire a liaison, this liaison could help like a lot with this, like being the one that brings and shares information both with foundation and us about the feasibility of different features, about the feasibility of modifying smart contracts and everything. But for now, this is what we have. It's working. And if you want to create awareness about this, what I already suggested, for example, how was this guy's name? To Pangping was, okay, request the feature in Canny, but if you want to create awareness, go ahead, present the proposals. But that clearly is not the most straightforward way to do things.
I think Fez, just with that though, it kind of goes into a black box, right? Like we don't know what the foundation takes from Canny and implements it. And I think that's where the lack of visibility on the back end comes from. So, we have this suggestion box. Okay, I can entertain that, but then it goes, we don't know where it goes until a manifesto or a quarterly update. So I think, again, that visibility of what the foundation is working on, they did have a Trello board and they were moving things around and archiving things, but hasn't been updated in almost 2 years. So it's great that we have a way to suggest things, but I think it would be very simple, very easy to do, to show us that those are being integrated, again, not reactionary, proactively, right? The foundation, somebody opens up the suggestion box and says, wow, great idea. And they put it on the roadmap, right? And then we can all go back to the roadmap and say, holy crap, that's on the roadmap. That's awesome. It's expected to come, right? Right now, this is just a black box. And that was my biggest point, is it means nothing because we don't understand what happens to any of these canny requests.
Okay, great. Noted. I agree 100%. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Existence.
Okay, so something I mentioned in the chat too earlier. I was on the board of a DAO that was for a game, and that we had very fine line. We had fine lines, something very similar to this, in my opinion. So a lot of it I understand. So the DAO could do. The only thing they could really do was anything involving the token that you earn from playing the game. We couldn't make changes to that game. I think if there could be also some sort of guideline, I mean, it doesn't have to get too technical, too specific, but give some ideas or examples to the community of what we can request as a proposal, as opposed to what we cannot, because it's just not possible at this time. I think that could be very helpful.
Yeah, agree. We are going to work on that with Gino. We're putting together something like to say, hey, this is what you can do with a governance proposal. And obviously it's mainly about smart contracts modifications. But yeah, we need to be clear on what the DAO can do with those governance proposals, because yeah, it isn't clear, and there are like beautiful ideas, like great ideas that go through the 3-stage governance process. And yeah, it's a lot of effort to gather the votes. It's a lot of effort to reach out to different people. And yeah, most of the times those proposals end on nothing. So it's important for the community to know, the way to do things, right? Because again, feature requests are not with governance proposals. So agree, and we will work with Gino on a communication, a guideline of what you can do with governance proposals. It's really important. What I was going to say. So okay, yeah. Well, regarding the things that Lastrom mentioned, and like with the thing that we discussed about Kani, it's true. It's something that could be considered a black box. I believe that there were some efforts from the foundation in communicating what things they took from the DAO to build some enhancements in the platform, to develop some features. But yeah, that should be like the usual stuff, right? We should be aware every time what is being implemented from the DAO. So far, last time during the all hands, I believe was Nico that mentioned that there were 3 governance proposals that, Gino and I shared with them, and they actually took that proposals and worked with them during the last shape up cycle. So yes, we need more visibility, not only like a statement or something that they say during a meeting. There should be some way somehow to highlight those proposals or those feature requests that are being taken into account for the future shape up cycles. So yep, I agree with that. We could totally send that and ask that to the foundation to see if there's a way for improving that comes. Okay. Anything else we should add as an action point, or if you want to share anything else also?
Just real quick, off topic. Has anybody who applied to go to the summit heard anything, or does anybody know when they're supposed to announce that?
They say last time that they were going to announce it before holidays. So if it's not like today, it's going to be, it's not going to be, it's going to be before end of year. I'm going to reach out to Kim now to see if she has any news about this. And yeah, probably she will be back here and share some information with you. Actually, I'm going to take notes about this because I'm going to forget about it. So for the community summit, right?
Correct.
Okay, great. Okay, so if there isn't anything else to discuss regarding the summary or the action points, you could still visit this document, like add stuff, like add suggestions, comments. I will like review it again next week after Christmas, and we'll send it to the foundation. Obviously, we'll share it with you before, like to confirm that everything is okay. But that's the idea, like putting this together and sharing it with the foundation next week. And so, yep, that's pretty much all for the DAO-Foundation Synergy summary. What we wanted to do also during this meeting is to share with you what I mentioned at the beginning of this meeting. It's like one really important thing, and it's the Strategic Planning Manifesto. So when we are talking about the Strategic Planning Manifesto, we're basically talking about a document that Lord Like has put together with some help that I gave to him. But he has put together like a summary, a document with all the insights, all the feedback, all the discussions that we had during these last 6, 7, 8 months, I don't know, containing all the strategic planning sessions, containing every single brainstorming, every single board that we discuss. So this is a summary of it. It's a draft because we want community feedback on it. There are things that have been included that they weren't discussed. They are proposed solutions for the problem that we stated. And there are things that we actually discussed. And there might be things that we missed and we didn't put here. So that's why we need community to review this document. It's a long one, so it could take a while. But yeah, it's basically a summary with every single thing that we discuss with the areas of interest regarding the grants program, with KPIs, strategies. That was a long one. Platform and apps, KPIs, strategies, with all the SWOT analysis, and so on. So we have also marketing, transparency, participation and incentives, compliance, and there you will find everything. So I'm going to share this link again with you all. Our plan is to, I don't know if sooner or later, to present this as a draft proposal with all community feedback and inputs. And this should be our strategic planning manifesto. So having this will allow us in the future to have our own roadmap. So just wanted to share with you all that with you. So the other thing, I believe it's there. Just in case, I'm going to check it. Resources. Well, here you will find a lot of resources, but I'm trying to find. Okay, here it is. Here you have all the materials, background, and working papers that we share during this couple of months. There are a lot of documents that also have been created by community members. I don't know if everything is here, but most of the stuff is here. So yeah, I'm going to share also the Strategic Planning Working Group workspace for you all to visit it again, to review if we're missing something. But yeah, we wanted, 36 pages. Okay, it's a long one. But yeah, that was basically the idea of this meeting, reviewing again the summary, the action points, and presenting you, introducing you this document that Lorelei has put together. And yeah, let's look towards having an actual strategic manifesto of our own, to have an actual roadmap of our own. So yeah, that could help us to start when we talk about hiring technical teams. Okay, well, what do we want to do with those technical teams? What are those technical teams going to do for the DAO, and so on? As an example, right? Because there are like marketing strategies and a lot of stuff that we can discuss. Okay, so I think we're good. Thanks everyone for joining again. As I told you, this is the last DAO meeting of the year. So if we don't talk again, have a nice holiday season. Spend time with your families, with your friends. We all need that. We definitely need that. So yeah, thanks a lot for joining. Bye-bye.